Today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Tax season is here, and that means that it's time to file your taxes. There's good news. If you're a W-2 employee, you can save half off your tax filing. All you have to do is call the Tax Defense Group before April 15, 2020, and mention that you saw this ad on UCast Studios. Millions of Americans will get money back after they file, and you can be one of them. Call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973. That number again is 800-850-7973, and you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. Another sponsor for today's episode is Writer Junkie. Are you looking to make more money in 2020? One of the best ways to do it is by having a new resume that can help you get that dream job. Writer Junkie offers affordable, well-written resumes for the low cost of $145. They'll even throw in a cover letter for no additional charge. All you have to do is mention that you saw this ad on UCast Studios, and they'll get right to work. Call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Hi, welcome to the Talk Spot. This is Marcus, and today I'm joined again by Andy Bernstein. Andy, thank you for coming on.
Marcus, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, so since the last time we spoke, there's obviously, Kobe Bryant passed away, and you tell us a little bit about, when you first met Kobe. Yeah, maybe a little bit of that history about when you met him and what were your first impressions of him.
Well, I think I told this story on your podcast when we first met. But Kobe and I go back to the beginning when he first became a Laker, and I met him literally the first day of Laker training camp, 1996, was October, and he had just turned 18. And anyway, I went to photograph him on my headshot set, and like any new player, I went and introduced myself, and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, I know who you are." And I said, "I don't think so, because we never met." He said, "Well, I know who you are because I had all your posters hanging in my room." And you've heard that story because I told you that, but that just gives you a little background on the very first meeting with this guy, who was incredibly insightful. Even at 18 years old, had the presence of mind to, in a chaotic sort of situation of a media day, to say something like that. And a very respectful thing to say, too. I had already been working with the Lakers and the NBA for, I think, about 13 years at that point when he came in. So, I was pretty ensconced with the team and had a lot of trust there with the Laker organization, and which really had started with Pat Riley and Magic, and Mitch Kupchak was such a great supporter of mine, and also Gary Vitti especially, who really let me into the inner sanctum, which happened to be the training room that was his domain. So I got to meet and kind of kick it around with the guys, really behind the scenes and no pressure. And we just got to know each other. And that extended to Kobe, as a young player. And our relationship just built from there. When I first met him, Marcus, he really reminded me of myself when I was his age. And, I'm 20 years older than him. But I just saw this young guy who was very driven, motivated, had a lot of self-confidence, but yet needed to prove himself. And I could relate to that because that's the way I was as a young sports photographer trying to make it in the business. And, we bonded from there. It just was a fantastic relationship as he grew and progressed in the NBA and in life and as a father, and was a wonderful, I hate talking about it in the past tense. I got to tell you, it's very hard for me, but it's a wonderful relationship.
I mean, some of it has been, some information has been spoken about the fact that, there was quite a few people in the Lakers organization that knew Kobe and were sad about, obviously, his passing, but just even beyond just the fact that it's like, oh yeah, we lost a legend. If you wouldn't mind, like, what have you heard, like, kind of, I mean, not necessarily giving away anything that's like too private or secretive, but what has been the reaction from the people that have worked in the Lakers organization? I mean, it only happened like 2.5 weeks ago, so it's still so fresh. I mean, yeah. I know that some people too were giving, the Lakers as a team some crap for them kind of underperforming in a few games recently. And I know the Lakers have won the last 2 that they've played and they're playing tonight. But I guess what has been the reaction from the people within the Lakers organization? I mean, some of these people have known Kobe since he was 18 years old, including yourself.
Oh, it's devastating. I mean, there's no other way to put it. somebody in your family died shockingly. I mean, we weren't related by blood, but we were related by basketball and by life and experience and everything else. It was it's been absolutely devastating. I mean, we all try to get through the day. I mean, remember the accident happened on a Sunday. The Lakers had a game that Tuesday, which they canceled, and I actually had to go in on Wednesday of that week to do a Clippers game, and that was incredibly painful, just walking in the building. And the Clippers did a beautiful tribute and spotlit his jerseys, and then we had that Laker game the next day, which was just brutal. I mean, it's just so hard to work. And I give the players and the coaching staff a lot of credit because they had to go out and play that night, and they did the best they could under tremendous cloud. And they've since had to continue with the season as best they can, never losing sight of the heaviness that's right there. But yeah, my colleagues that I work with, the Lakers put together an amazing tribute to him on that game that we went back, the first game back, and it was so beautifully done and tasteful and appropriate. And of course, the fans who have come out in the thousands and thousands came out to LA Live and Staples Center, and there was so much grief all in this small space. But it was mutual grief, and people were getting some kind of strength from each other, and just like we who worked with him and have worked together for years and years, we did as well. So I've never been in a situation where there's been like this in my job or even in life. I mean, honestly, I'm old enough to remember when JFK was shot. I was 5 years old, and I remember like it was yesterday where I was and how the country and the world, but mostly the country, just bonded together over the loss of this great president. And I just happened to be in New York the night that John Lennon was killed, very suddenly, of course, by an assassin. And this reaction to Kobe is sort of similar to that, because everyone at that time descended on the Dakota where he lived, and then they went to Strawberry Fields, which is that area in Central Park. And, people need to be together in a moment like that. And it's still continuing. Murals are going up, and people are doing all kinds of tributary things to Kobe and Gianna and all the victims. So yeah, that's, it's kind of where we're at right now. We're just trying to move forward.
I mean, certainly, for Kobe's passing, I mean, it very much was that he was a figure that was so much larger than even just basketball. I mean, there's obviously, and you've seen them over the years, where you think to yourself, like, okay, this person is a very big deal in the basketball world, but he's maybe not that well known outside of the basketball world. And I mean, obviously that's just a given. I mean, there's some people that just transcended, but for sure, I mean, Kobe, it was just shocking. And I mean, I've told you, I mean, I live right outside of LA, and even the spot where the helicopter crashed in Calabasas. I mean, I've driven by that on the 101 hundreds of times. I mean, I've seen that, and even the Mamba Academy. I've actually been there before it was the Mamba Academy. Like I've done some treatment there before. That's not far from where I live at all. And it seems so surreal. Like I remember getting the text about it, and it was, I mean, where were you? Were you out here in LA when it happened?
Oh yeah, no, I was here. It was, Sunday, and every Sunday I take my daughter, my little 11-year-old daughter, to our Hebrew school, Sunday school, and that's in the next town over. And that's Sunday mornings usually time for my wife to kind of have time to herself and kind of decompress from the week and all that. And so I normally drop my daughter off. If I don't have a game, like a day game, I'll drop my daughter off at 9:30, and then I'll head to my office. It's about 15 minutes away, and got to my office and started just doing a little paperwork and getting ready for the week ahead and stuff. I always put on very loud Springsteen music because my complex is empty. I'm the only one there. And my phone just starts buzzing. The first message that came from a good friend said, is it true about Kobe? And that was, I don't know, a little bit before 10 o'clock, I think. And I have no idea what that means, right? And I waited, and then maybe 2 seconds, another message and another one. And then my boss called from the NBA. And he was very distraught, obviously, and told me the news, and that it hadn't been completely verified by that point, but it was pretty certain that Kobe was on the helicopter. And I put on I have a TV in my office. I put that on, and of course they were showing it live, and it just hit me like, like a gunshot. I mean, I can't even describe it. And I had to go pick up my daughter, so I went to pick her up, listening to the news on the way, and she had heard the news because all the kids have their cell phones and stuff. But as we're driving back, we gotten the word that Gigi was with him, and that was that I just couldn't continue. I had to pull over. I just lost it there, and it was just devastating. It's devastating even talking about it and remembering it, but it is reality, and it did happen.
No, I mean, yeah, it was. At first, I mean, obviously, I never met him. The closest I ever actually got to him was that I saw him when he was at the Hollywood Bowl when John Williams performed there a couple of years ago. That's the only time I.
Oh, you were at that?
Yeah, I was at that. I forgot if he showed up, if it was 2 shows or just 1 show that he showed up, but yeah, that was the closest I ever got to him, and it was. Yeah. I mean, at least from my perspective, it was just. Or I guess a lot of people that didn't actually know him but just watched him play, it was just so sudden. It was shocking. Yeah. And I think you're right. Like when you said the thing about the not knowing, and how the media, how they reveal information. It's like TMZ saying it's definitive, but I remember like turning on like CNN and switching between CNN and Fox and ABC and all the news stations, or several of the news stations, and they were kind of being ambiguous a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. I think I watched the news for 2 or 3 straight hours, and it just seemed like the time just flew by. And I listened to Bill Simmons. He said something on his podcast. He said that this was one of the biggest events in sports history, like at least like involving a player. He said this is the biggest one since Magic Johnson announced he had HIV in '91. Like, would you agree with that statement? Like, do you feel like this is one of the biggest sports stories since Magic's announcement?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I do agree with that. I don't like it when people have to put a label on it, the biggest this or the most important that. But this was a tragedy in any possible way you can look at it. In comparison to something else, that doesn't really matter. In my life, it's up there with Magic. I mean, Magic's was different. Of course, it was very sudden, and then there was so much non-information and, unfortunately, so much misinformation about HIV and AIDS that, he announced it in November. We thought that we wouldn't see him after, that he wouldn't make it till Christmas. And, he proved everybody wrong, obviously. And he's alive and well and doing great. But it's been, I remember that very, very well. And this is up there with that, but again, I don't want to compare it.
When was the last time that you spoke to Kobe? Did you talk to him on a regular basis?
I didn't talk to him on a regular basis. No, we would see each other at games, and then he's always there with Gigi or sometimes with other family. But he didn't come to very many games. I did a couple of things with him off the court since he retired. And let's see what else. But, of course, we did the book together. And the book was our sort of, our thing. And the book has been doing really, really well, incredibly well all over the world. The book, I think, is in 17 or 18 countries right now, even before the tragedy. And it's been 2 or 3 different printings in the U.S. But anyway, I was the Thursday before that Sunday tragedy, I was in Paris. I just happened to be there for an NBA thing, and I got word that our book had won a very prestigious photography award. And actually, the award competition was a French competition, which the publisher had entered. It was just coincidental. I was in Paris at the time, and I texted him, and he texted me right back and said, Yeah, we did a great book together, didn't we? And with a couple of happy emojis and stuff, and that was the last I heard from him. And it's just devastating. And I'm glad that the book has given people a lot of connection to him. That I've been able to provide that for people through my photography and through his words. And if I could be of service in that way, then I'm happy that in some way I'm keeping his legacy going and being a connection.
Well, that totally makes sense. I mean, one thing that, and it was so bizarre. And I mean, I remember listening to this on ESPN when all the legends were speaking about Kobe's passing, that they said that at first when they were getting the text, they thought it was related to the night before when he passed Kobe on the all-time score. Yeah, on the when LeBron became the third all-time leading scorer, and I forgot what it was against the Rockets. I'm trying to think of when that was. I guess maybe like 9 days ago, something like that. During the game, LeBron had that sequence that was incredibly reminiscent of a dunk that Kobe did. Was it 2001? Kobe did the dunk.
Yeah.
And you took a photo of LeBron. It was an incredible photo. And obviously, I mean, the Lakers, their official Instagram and Twitter, they posted the sequence of, Kobe getting the ball, going down and doing the dunk, and then LeBron, and how LeBron kind of mimicked it. But the photo of the actual thing where LeBron just looks like the photo that you took, it almost looks like LeBron was photoshopped, where it looks like he was on the ground and you photoshopped the ground out and just put the air. But I think
it's kind of a crazy shot. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you capture that? And when you saw it happening, did you remember, like, later that night where you're like, oh man, that was kind of similar to a Kobe dunk many years ago, or did that thought even cross your mind, or not really?
No, that never crossed my mind. It rarely does, honestly, when one guy does a dunk that's similar to another guy. And I credit the Lakers videographer, Josh, for remembering that and putting those two side by side. I mean, LeBron has said that he didn't intentionally try to mimic Kobe in the moment. That's not to say that maybe in the back of his mind, subconsciously he did remember Kobe doing that dunk, but it's just eerie how, same dunk from the same basket in the same court, 19 years apart. When you see those side by side, it gives you chills almost, But the way it's done, Marcus, really in just a very short, try to be non-technical kind of way of telling the story, is that I do a series of remote cameras on the other side of where I sit. So I actually sit on the Lakers bench side of the court. My remotes are on the visitors bench side of the court. And these cameras are put in all different places strategically around the arena, through the glass of the backboard, on a railing off to the side, and a tripod way back behind the first 20 rows of seats. We put one at the top of the basket stanchion, like sort of where the arm starts to go out towards the backboard. And then this camera happens to be a camera that goes in a hole at the bottom of this basket stanchion. So if you're ever at a game and you look at the basket stanchion and there's a pad in front, usually has advertising on it, at the bottom of the pad there's a hole cut out. And I invented that angle, actually. Through a series of things that happened where we weren't able to do that sort of floor remote camera from off to the side on the floor because it became dangerous for the players. I had to figure out a way to still do that angle, but do it from a place that kept the players safe, but also stayed within the rules and was cool. And this actually is a cool angle. So it's a very wide angle lens for you photo techs out there. It's a 24 millimeter lens. The camera is fired by a remote button that is in my hand on the other side of the court. And when I push that button, that camera, as well as the other remote cameras, go off exactly at the same instant. But while their shutters are opening, the strobes in the catwalk, the big flashes that we have, those go off as well. So it's an amazing system that synchronizes the shutters with the strobe system in literally a millionth of a second. That and it's all done by radio control, which is another thing, pretty amazing technology. So this was a technology that was invented by a group, these MIT kind of egghead guys out of Vermont, really not for sports photography originally, but then they caught wind of what we wanted to do in the NBA and Sports Illustrated about getting multiple angles from the same moment in time and with strobe. So we all kind of put our heads together. This is kind of like the late 90s and took a couple of years of R&D, but came up with this amazing system. It's called the Flash Wizard 2 system, which some of us, a bunch of us in the NBA use regularly. I do this setup every single game that I go to, whether it's at home or on the road. And it's a pretty involved thing. You know, I have one assistant, sometimes two. It takes about 4 hours to set it up, but an hour and a half, 2 hours to break it down. And again, it's what we do every night. So, you know, it just, everything came together in this photo. Yes, he does look like he's photoshopped it, but he's not. And, you know, it's pretty cool to see a guy like, you know, LeBron 17 years in elevate like that. And it's such a dramatic moment of a moment captured, you know. And I know he loved it. I mean, he got how many tens of millions of likes on that photo when he posted it, and gave me a nice shout out, which is very rare that a player will actually mention the photographer's name. So that was kind of cool. And I actually have a print in the works for him, which I'm going to give him after All-Star break, which he said he would hang in the house. So all of that is very gratifying to me and makes me feel good, makes me feel like I did my job. And, you know, if the player's happy, that's really the ultimate compliment.
Had you met, like, LeBron James and Anthony Davis before they became Lakers? Like, did you kind of know them already?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, I knew LeBron from his rookie year. I met him actually before he played in the NBA. He played in Magic used to do a game called the Midsummer Night Magic, which benefited the United Negro College Fund. And LeBron played in that game as, you know, pre-rookie. I mean, he had just been drafted. I mean, I think that game was like in July or August, so he'd just been drafted. So that's when I met him, 18 years old. And, you know, I was around him a lot in those early years, especially around USA basketball when he started playing for the Olympic team. And Anthony Davis, you know, the same way. I actually had a very, very poignant moment with LeBron, which will stay with both of us forever. When President Obama was sworn in on Inauguration Day, which was January 20th, what year was that?
2009?
2009, right. Yeah, because he was elected in 2008, so it was January 20th, 2009. The Cavs, now I don't remember if he was playing for the Cavs or the Heat at that time, but whatever team he was playing with, they were in town, either in between games between Lakers and Clippers, or had come to town to play whatever team the next day. I don't remember the scenario, but they were in town, and they were staying at the a really beautiful hotel in Beverly Hills. And somehow, through some conversation, LeBron had agreed to let me, a photographer, and a videographer, two of us, into his suite to actually document him watching Obama's inauguration on TV. So I don't know how it all came about, honestly, but all of a sudden I'm going to the hotel, going up to LeBron's suite, and there's just me, my friend Michael Winnick, the videographer, and LeBron. And then out come his kids, who were really little, you know. Bronny and Bryce were probably, I don't even know what they were, like 1 and 3 at that time or something. I don't know. But they're like crawling all over him. He's trying to watch the inauguration on TV, you know. And it was really a fun moment, but a very, very historic moment. And that's how I got to watch President Obama get sworn in, was in LeBron James's suite. You know, how cool is that?
Wow, that is a really cool story. My gosh. Yeah. I mean, one thing that's so amazing about your career is the longevity in the sense of just these people that you've seen, like, you met Kobe before he came into the NBA, you met LeBron before he came into the NBA, and all of these stars. I mean, it must just be amazing where you see these guys, and I mean, them before they've achieved the greatness, but they've been talked about potentially being great. And kind of, what's that a little bit about? Like, how does that feel when, you see these guys? Like, I mean, do you kind of have a pretty good idea when you see somebody, you're like, okay, this guy, he could really be something? Like when you met Kobe, like, did you think this guy could be something? Or LeBron, were you like, wow, this guy could really be amazing?
Well, you got to remember both those guys came in with a lot of hype. LeBron probably more than Kobe, actually. Out of high school, they were these high school phenoms, and jumping right from high school to the NBA, which wasn't done successfully that often. I can only probably think of maybe how many guys, I don't know, maybe 5 that have actually done it, really well. KG, Moses Malone, Kobe, LeBron. I don't even know who else, really. Yes, the thing that really shocked me about LeBron, actually, when I met him the first time at that Magic game, was that this kid looked like obviously a grown man. I mean, he had this muscle mass and this body of like, a 26-year-old. The kid was ripped, and I'd never seen an 18-year-old like with that kind of physique, honestly. Kobe came in, he's a string beam. He probably, I don't even know what he weighed, like 160 or something or whatever. But, he could literally jump out of the gym, as we've all seen those great videos from high school. So yeah, they both came in with a lot of hype. And I've had that happen both ways, where guys come in sort of anonymously, and then all of a sudden they take off and they're these huge stars, or something happens in their career, like Spud Webb. I mean, who had ever heard of Spud Webb before he dunked in the '86 dunk contest? So, the NBA is full of great stories and great backstories and inspirational stories, and that's why one of the reasons I love my career has been just so blessed with being around so many great people, so many great stories, that kind of endless conversations,
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I couldn't even envision, your career where it's, you first met Magic what was he, like in his 3rd year of playing in the NBA? And here you are now, and, Zion Williamson. Have you met him yet, or have you photographed him yet?
No, I haven't. I only saw him one time when they Pelicans came in, and he was still injured.
Okay.
But he was running the layup line and doing a couple of dunks and stuff. I can't wait. I'm like, salivating to shoot this guy. I think I have a game with him. New Orleans comes into LA at some point in early March, so I'm excited about that. And I still get excited. I mean, I get excited about seeing some of the older dudes too, and but this new generation is certainly a lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah, that should definitely be cool. I mean, even with Zion, I mean, his body just looks like, in my opinion, he looks like he could be a guy that could compete in like a muscle tournament, like one of those guys where it's like they're hooked up to like a big semi truck. He looks like he could pull the truck. This guy, he looks incredible.
I agree. It's crazy. I mean, we've seen guys with bodies like his, sort of. I harken back to probably Charles Barkley at his age, or even Karl Malone, who had this incredible physique, but he hadn't become like this Mr. Atlas looking guy yet. When he came in the league, a few guys like that. But yeah, wow, this kid is amazing. I mean, just the highlights I've seen on TV from that first game he played, and I think he had like a career high last night or something, 30-something points, and the upside is amazing. And thank God he recovered from that injury. Very similar to what happened to Blake Griffin, coming in and then of course missing his whole rookie year, which was terrible for Blake. But can't wait to see this kid play. Very excited about it.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully Hopefully one day he'll join the Lakers too. I think that could be awesome. I mean, I guess that's always my hope with every great player is I think, oh man, wouldn't that be awesome if they became a Laker like Giannis or Luka or Zion, but you can't get them all, I guess.
I'm happy for the fans. I get to see these guys play in those cities, all the time. And I wish I got to see them more. I wish I got to see Giannis more. I wish I got to see like Ben Simmons and Embiid and, the nucleus that they have in Boston and all these young dudes who are in the Eastern Conference. I don't get to see them very much. So it's a treat for me when they come through LA or I get assigned to a game, that they're playing somewhere in the West. That's that's a bonus for me.
Are you going to All-Star Weekend this year?
No, that's the big news. That this is my first All-Star that I'll be missing. This would have been my 38th All-Star game in a row. But my wife and I made a decision back. It was early in the season, maybe November. We have family. She's from Argentina. We have family in Argentina. And we have to take care of some family business down there. My father-in-law passed away last year. And there's, stuff going on with my mother-in-law that really needs attention. And my wife needs me to go with her. And I'm very happy to do that. And, I miss being at All-Star. I mean, it's kind of weird to think I won't be there after so many years. But family has to come first. And I couldn't have gone with her until late this summer coming up because my schedule is just packed. As you know, we come back, finish up the season, then we go right into playoffs. It's 2 months of playoffs and finals, and immediately after that go into USA basketball training camp because the Olympics are in July. So we couldn't wait that long. And, I'll hopefully they'll have it on TV down there and I'll be able to watch it. That'll be kind of fun.
Are you going to Tokyo for the Olympics or no?
I am not going to Tokyo. No, my shooting Olympic days are over. It's a huge time commitment, and that's I need some time off, during the year. So
that's understandable.
That couple of weeks or so, 3 weeks, very valuable to me while my daughter's, she's on vacation too, and. But I will be with the team, I think, up until they go to Tokyo. From what I understand, I'll be with them from the beginning of training camp. And they do a couple of exhibition games here in the States. And I think, I haven't heard the schedule, but there's a couple that are planned outside the U.S. And then they go to Tokyo from there. And when they go to Tokyo, I wave goodbye and I'm on vacation.
Wow. That makes sense. With you, especially, I don't think they might not understand like how much work that you actually do. Being at these games late at night, all the traveling. This isn't just easy stuff where it's like, oh yeah, just pick up a camera and just take some photos. You've probably traveled more than 1,000 people combined, and your schedule must be crazy. So
yeah, I'm always the first person that I have to be grateful towards and also credit is David Stern, because it was David who opened up the rest of the world really to NBA basketball. So his vision led to all the stuff we did early when we were going to Europe, and then partnering with FIBA, with the '92 with the Dream Team, and we've been doing that ever since. And then of course all the markets that have opened up from China to India to Africa. Who knows? I think we'll be playing basketball in Antarctica pretty soon. But it's been a great run, man. And I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. I might tail back a little, but I'm not stopping. And I still get excited about every game I go to, which I hope is an inspiration to other people who've been doing their jobs for a long time too, that you got to find something in that job that keeps you going, keeps the juices flowing. You can come home after a long day of work and, say, hey, I produced something cool, or I helped somebody, or I was of service, or I created something, being a photographer or a writer or a journalist like yourself. So, that's kind of where I'm at. And, I'm looking forward to going on this vacation, coming back, kind of being a little bit rejuvenated, both mentally and physically, and getting, the second half of the season going.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, that sounds very exciting. Hopefully you'll enjoy your trip, and definitely, yeah, I want to thank you again, Andy, so much for coming on. And I mean, unfortunately,
Anytime, Marcus.
it was under kind of a sad, everything being so sad because of Kobe. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I think the world's very grateful to you for the work that you did with Kobe and the photos that you took of him and just capturing his talent and abilities. And yeah, you really produced some really great work with Kobe, and along obviously all the other superstars that you've worked with and all the other photos that you've taken, but especially the work with Kobe, I think was incredible. And I think that there
Yeah.
are millions of fans that, even if they might not know that you took the photos, are really grateful to you for taking them. And yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you again so much for taking the time to talk. And hopefully next time we talk, it'll all be just good news, and it'll be some cool stories to talk about and everything.
Well, Mark, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And I appreciate you being a little patient with me. It's been rough, and I've been waiting to kind of have a little bit more presence of mind to talk to you at length. And I'm glad we had that time today. And anytime you want to reach out, I'm always there for you. So thanks so much.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, Andy, and I'll talk to you later. We want to thank today's sponsors again, the Tax Defense Group and Rider Junkie. You can contact the Tax Defense Group at 800-850-7973, and Rider Junkie's phone number again was 805-587-7966.